To the command center in the underground lair. I am here with my friend Marshall Lee. Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well. It's a little early here, but that's cool. It's normally I don't get a chance to talk to you live because we're kind of on these different not time zones, but I don't know, we're different schedules. So you this we're doing something a little different here. And I decided to switch it up a bit. I changed the wardrobe a little bit, and because we don't do, the only live thing like I do like this is the Artcasters, and this is a little different. But we're doing something a little different. We're basically kicking off this challenge. I was going to say this new challenge, but it's not really a new challenge. It's something we've done before that we're bringing back. It's called Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, and it's going to start tomorrow. And it doesn't have to, for us, it's going to start tomorrow. You can start it any Tuesday you want, but basically all you have to do is draw an alien out of your imagination, or, it could be fan art or anything, your favorite alien from pop culture, whatever you want. Just draw an alien and then post it. And then you can hashtag it either Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, which is a long one, or just the initials. And you can share it on, YouTube, Instagram. And if you do share it on YouTube, we don't have like a Instagram handle for this. I guess maybe we might have to wait till it gets a little bigger before we do that. But if we had a channel, we could post that kind of stuff or whatever. But on YouTube, I know we've got a playlist. So if you do a YouTube video, let us know. Or if we discover it through the hashtag, we'll post it in our playlist on our Top Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday. You've got a playlist, right? I know I've got one.
Yeah, I think we both have our own official playlist for it.
Cool. So yeah, this is awesome. I know so this thing started, it was probably a year and a half ago, maybe, or more.
Yeah, I was looking at one of my videos this morning, and I noticed I signed it 2018, so it was the beginning of last year.
Okay.
So it's about a year and a half. All
right, cool. So basically, Marshall came up with the idea because I had mentioned that I wanted to eventually put out this book, which is still going to be a little while from now. But I wanted to do a book with just basically robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity, and have those sectioned off in different areas. And I had been doing a lot of sketches because I had, with Young and the Dead, I was doing a lot of zombies, so I had that covered. Robots, I'm always drawing robots, so I had a lot of robots, but I didn't have as many aliens. So I'm like, I really got to get on and create some more aliens. And then so Marshall kind of came up with this idea to do Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday. So we basically we kicked it off. We decided to do it for just a month that first time, just to hopefully get it started and get people involved. And then it's sort of, after that, it kind of fizzled away. We were hoping it would keep going without us, but this time, our channels are a little bigger now and everything, and we're hoping we can, keep it going a little more. And at least right now, I don't have an end date. I'm not planning on just doing it for a month, and there isn't any set time. Again, you can start this the only key is just Tuesday, just to keep it, Otherwise, if it doesn't make sense for Take Me to Tuesday if you're posting it on a Friday. I mean, you can always post an alien on a Friday if you want, but it doesn't work with the hashtag. So.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. We did it, and some people did jump onto it. I know Robert Johnston jumped onto it early on, and then I forget. I think Matthew Enstrom did.
Right.
There might have been some others, and then not that long ago, actually, Matthew Enstrom did like a few more as well, and I put one of them in my playlist, but I think I didn't get all of them yet in the playlist. But so it has continued a little bit, but yeah, we want to jumpstart it again for sure.
Yeah, I was definitely watching a lot of Matthew's videos. I guess I forgot to, because I guess I wasn't at that point. I wasn't in the frame of mind to update the playlist, and actually I had to go in because I noticed that the last couple videos that we did weren't in my playlist either. So I popped those in there, but I can always go back and I can add those in. So we'll have to go looking. So we do have some comments here. Natural Mom Style says, "My daughter loves your channel. That's awesome." And I don't like the way that that's showing up. I got to change the what do you call it? The chats. I like the other. There's another way to do that. So
is there?
Yeah. Let's see.
I just know you press on the little plus. Usually, that's what I do.
Let me go to branding. There shows up two different ways. See, now if I go back, hold on. If I go back, it'll look a little better. See, yeah, I like that version a little better. I can also change the colors and stuff there. But this is just us playing around.
I don't see. Oh, there it is. Oh, wow, that's cool.
You've never seen that where you can call out the chat?
I saw the way you originally did it. I didn't know you could make it all fancy like that.
There's two different ways to do that. So
cool.
I'm gonna change some things, but anyway, so do that. Hold on, go back. I know this is great radio, but not that this is. I don't think this is going to appear anywhere just audio. But so yeah, we got this thing rolling. Normally I put out the other reason why I kind of wanted to go live today is because normally I kind of have a schedule where I try to put out a video every Monday, and because we're doing the main video, the Take Me to Your Leader, on Tuesday, I did want to get some content out there just to let everyone know. No, I didn't go away or anything. There's something coming out, and also later today I'm also going to post like a sort of a I don't know if it's considered a trailer, but like a promotion for my Comic Maker Toolkit. I've kind of edited a video. It's kind of all animated, and it basically shows all the features of that. So I might as well talk about that while I'm here. I've launched this product for making comics. It's called the Comic Maker Toolkit. I did have an exclusive with a company called Design Cuts. It's still available over there, but now it's on my own site. And I think I put a link in the description. And also, just if you guys are interested, here's a little tip. If you go to Marshall's channel, the last video we did, it's kind of got the same theme, Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday. We did a live stream on his channel. I think it was about art challenges. Mm-hmm. If you go on that video, in the description, I think there is a discount code for another 10%. It's already like, I forgot what the percentage off, but it's already on sale on my site. But that code will get you an additional 10%. So that's that. And like I said, I think there is a link to that, but I'll be putting that out later. And then we got Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday. And of course, Artcasters will be on my channel later this week. So I'm hoping I'm kind of inspired by Marshall because he seems like he's just putting out tons of content. So I want to start putting out more videos for you guys and kind of coming up. And this is also another way for just me to kind of tell you some stuff that's going to be happening with the channel, sort of an update. So as you notice, like I got the different, different color lab coat today. The green lab coat, it hasn't gone away, but I'm gonna do some different kind of wardrobe changes depending on kind of what I'm doing, whether if it's a Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday or this series called Making Comics 101 that I've got coming up, or if I do any other live streams or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just trying to spice up the channel, do some different things. So just something to look forward to because I'm really wanting to put out some more content and everything. So awesome. Anyway, go ahead, Marshall. Sorry.
I was just saying, awesome. I'm looking forward to that. The whole comic kind of step-by-step tutorial thing. That's something that I'm kind of doing on my channel, but it's not like as concise as you're doing it. I kind of hit on different topics as I go, and I learn stuff. I don't know, just kind of like that. But I know that yours is going to be like really just like trying to help people see the whole process and stuff, which that's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be helpful for the people, your audience and stuff. So I'll definitely shoot people over to that when you start doing it through my channel. And also, this Comic Maker Toolkit, I mean, if you guys haven't signed up for the newsletter to get the free version of it, definitely do that. But he put like so much work into that, even that small one. And this one is just like, it's like so much better and everything. And like you said, I don't know how long this coupon code is going to last or how long this sale is going to last, but I think right now is probably your best chance to get it at a really good price. So yeah, definitely check that out.
to Salazar Nation, Frank said that he got it from Design Cuts after the promo ended. Oh man, if I could, I mean, I don't have any control over if it was on my side, I could have gave you the discount after the fact, but because it's Design Cuts, I can't do that. So, but maybe we'll try to give Frank something for the next go round and everything, whatever my next product is. But that's awesome. I do appreciate you paying the full price for that. But I think it's still, I think that the value is still there. So even at full price. And then Frank also says that he's going to participate at least once, and then he doesn't know if he can keep it going. But yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about this challenge is that you don't have to. I mean, it's not like a monthly thing. You don't have to do it. I mean, you don't have to do it every day, or you can do it whenever you want. So yeah, so just hashtag it whenever you do an alien post it on a Tuesday and everything. So yeah, so that's that. And then other than that, I don't know. I wanted to just mention, you were talking about some of the stuff that you're doing on your channel, Marshall, and I just want to say, man, I was like all the different angles and stuff that you're approaching comics with, and the amount of content that you put in and out lately. I'm really impressed by it, because it's like sometimes I've got like, I'm like, oh man, what can I do a video on? Have I talked about this or whatever? And it's cool to see just some of the unique angles you take on creating comics and all the different things you're doing, and all the different challenges and everything that you've done, even like crazy ones like the 1 hour comic challenge where you make a comic in an hour. That's pretty intimidating. So
yeah, I mean, it's intimidating when you try it. Like, I mean, you can see it in my videos, but like, I was so nervous after I finished. Like, it was like just such a nerve-wracking thing. And you think, I'm not thinking when I'm doing this challenge, I'm not thinking about quality at all. Like, I'm just trying to like make a comic happen,
Right.
But it's still nerve-wracking. It's still like you got that ticking time thing going, and you just got to make it happen. And by the end, I'm like, I have like an adrenaline rush. It's pretty fun. It's a fun challenge. Definitely worth trying out.
I might have to try that myself. Is that I'm wondering if that's. Well, I was going to ask if you could do it digitally, but then I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think sometimes you can do, digital takes less time, but I don't know, for me, for like a 1 hour thing, just because I'm not there's just a lot of stuff with creating comics digitally that, on different programs, I think I probably would still do it all traditionally.
Yeah.
If I could do it like half and half, but that would be hard because I'd have to wait for something to print, and when all that kind of stuff. And when you have when you only have an hour, that's a little difficult. So I think if I did, I'd probably do it traditionally. But like you said, I just try to keep it real basic and everything. But that might be fun to do. So
yeah, I definitely would like to see your take on it for sure. I was thinking, since we're talking about this Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday thing, I was curious because I think that a lot of people who are doing this or want to do this, they might feel like, oh, I want to do this. It sounds like a fun challenge, but I don't know if I have any ideas. Like, what can I do? Like, I'm curious, like, what is your process, or how do you come up with ideas for different kind of crazy aliens and stuff?
Oh man, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this on your channel, but I found that a lot of my, even the first one that I'm going to be posting tomorrow, it seems like a lot of them are like, sort of like humanoid, like, they look like you could put a costume on a human, and if it was in a movie or something. Whereas I really want to try to switch it up and make it a little crazier, like less humanoid. So I got to start going in that direction. But and for so I was working on a sketch for another one. It's basically, I just drew like this big ball and then had like legs coming off of it and stuff like that. But I think, and I mentioned this on your video too, but just playing around with like different shapes and things. A lot of times I'll get inspiration online. I'll just go and might Google some different creature designs from like Pinterest or something, and I'll pick out little things because I don't want to obviously copy something wholesale, but I'll look at what somebody did there and like, oh, that's interesting, or or maybe they do something here and I'm like, oh, that's cool, but maybe I could change it up a bit. The other thing is I'm doing these in color and marker, so I'm trying to figure out different color schemes. Like I'm trying to, and pretty soon, I'll have done enough of them where I can't do this. But if I did one alien before that's sort of a blue alien, then maybe I'll want the next one to be more purple or whatever, just so they're a little different there. The other thing as I try to introduce like different textures where I might have one that's more like a scaly, like fish type alien. I might have one that's more like a mammal with fur. Maybe one's got feathers. Maybe so different textures, different things you see from nature. I try to switch it up that way, and then also because there's so many different weird, like almost alien looking creatures in real life. Even if you search like unusual like animals or creatures, you'll find some weird stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I've noticed a lot of stuff that's like sea life has just got some really bizarre creatures that we don't see all the time because we're not swimming around. And some of those look very alien. So a lot of times you can take something like that, like for instance, super deep down in the ocean where there's no light, a lot of like the anglerfish and things like that, they've got these luminescent things. So that might be something to sort of introduce in one of your characters, have it kind of glowing or whatever. But yeah, just I try to look at nature. I try to look at all that stuff, and it doesn't, or not even animals. Like when you look at like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things, it's almost like a flower type thing that kind of opens up. So I mean, you can look at like plant life as well. I mean, there's no reason an alien can't be based on plant life. So or rocks or like minerals, or I mean anything you see, even if it's an animate object, or you can try to give an sort of an alien take on that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Now that you're saying all that, I'm like, oh yeah, we did talk about that on my channel, didn't we? I forgot about that. But that's so cool. Like it reminds me too of like those some of those other products that you have on the digital thing you do. Like it's like taking all these like little elements and like combining them and stuff. Like you could put like a like octopus tentacles on just about anything and it looks like an alien or something like that, or like all put antennas or all these different like elements, just mishmash them together. It's fun like that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's with aliens, the cool thing is the sky's the limit, and you don't have to worry so much about the anatomy because you're kind of creating it and everything. And I mean, it's like one of my favorite things to draw. So I mean, this is a super fun challenge for me. So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying to. I want to kind of hopefully stretch the boundaries. I've got a few sketched out already. But I want to, as I continue to go on, I'm just looking at the channel art for the one that you did. It's really cool. Where it's this is one from your first round. It was the green alien with the blue kind of hair, and it's basically sort of this bulbous body. Then it comes up. It's almost like a more not a less like horrific version of the Thing. But it's got like the different legs coming out, but it's got a friendly face and everything. The 3 eyes. That's the other thing. It's just multiply like different features that we have. Like I'll just add more eyes, or another mouth, or ears, or like the one that I'm doing that I post tomorrow has more arms. So yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff that you guys can do. So, to kind of give your own take on your own aliens. So I don't know if anyone in the chat, if you guys like anyone that thinks that they might want to participate or whatever, or if they have any ideas as far as what they do, how they come up with alien designs, just let us know. But yeah, so speaking of aliens, I don't know, I guess we can kind of just talk. We can kind of go off script a little bit, and just, not that there is a script, but we could just talk about like our love of aliens, or what aliens we were into, or sci-fi in general, or kind of, because I think I don't know, as artists, I mean, most of us, especially doing comics and everything, I think we gravitate a little more to like the sci-fi and fantasy stuff, and so I'm sure we've got our favorite aliens and stuff. What about you, Marshall? What's
Yeah. Definitely, it's always been something that has sparked my imagination. And also, I'm curious too, in the chat while I'm talking, I'm curious what you guys favorite like alien type of stories or whatever there is. But I remember well, first of all, E.T. was a big one. I think that's a big one for a lot of people, especially of kind of our age and stuff. And I just remember that, like, I mean, talk about imagination. I mean, that was like, it just sparked so much, and it was a heartfelt story and everything. And then there's like that whole like part where they have like the Halloween thing, and they're all dressed up, and I think I forget, was E.T. had like a sheet over his head, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just there's so much cool stuff with that one. That was a big one for sure. And then there was another one when I was a kid, and I can't remember what it was called. And I'm sure you know what it was called because you're like big into the 80s stuff. But there was one where like the kids found like I think it was like a carnival ride piece or something, and they like created their own like spaceship and stuff, and they went up into space. Do you remember that one?
Explorers.
That was the cool.
Yeah.
I remember that was a cool one, and I watched it. I don't know, a couple of years ago again, and I forgot how goofy the aliens were, like at the end and stuff. But like the whole idea of building a spaceship and going to like meet aliens is like such an inspiring, fun thing.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, I love all that kind of stuff because that's right in my wheelhouse with the kind of if you've read my comic Young and the Dead, it's definitely an homage to stuff like E.T. and Explorers and Goonies and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a good one. I always love the fact that it's it's so unrealistic, but as a kid I was like, yeah, man, what if I could build my own spaceship? And and the fact that they kind of did that was pretty awesome. Yeah, that was a great one. And then yeah, for me, I mean, it all obviously, I mean, this is probably no surprise, but it kind of all started with Star Wars. I mean, I'm young enough that I think I might have been 5 or 6 when Star Wars came out, and totally just like rocked my world, like the cantina scene where you go in there and there's all these bizarre creatures and everything. I mean, that just sparked my love of sci-fi. Other than that, really the only thing that I remember before that really was probably, I mean, Star Trek was on, and like I think my parents told me they named me Scott because they liked the character Scotty, but from not that they were big Star Trek fans, but they just liked that name, I guess. So nice. I had seen Star Trek and everything, but as a kid, Star Trek wasn't very fast paced and everything. It was so it was Star Wars that really got me into the sci-fi, and there's also Planet of the Apes and everything. But yeah, Star Wars kicked it off, and then from then it was just like then all the kind of Star Wars kind of clones came out. I was big into Battlestar Galactica, even though some people say that the original one was sort of a rip on Star Wars, which I think they were developing Battlestar Galactica before Star Wars even came out. It just no one wanted it until it's like, oh, this stuff can be successful. So yeah, I would watch Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers and all that stuff. And Battlestar Galactica had some cool creatures too, like the lounge singer alien with the 3 eyes and the mouths and all that kind of stuff. And not 3 eyes, 4. I don't remember how many. Yeah, and then they had the bug creatures. Actually, the one that I did kind of looks a little bit like one of those creatures from Battlestar Galactica, the Ovion creatures, the bug creatures. But I think Star Wars was like the main one. But lately, I've been watching like on. I've got Amazon Prime, and like every once in a while, like I'll flip on while I'm drawing or something. I'll flip on and watch, like they've got a lot of really old, like cheesy kind of B sci-fi movies from the 80s, like after Star Wars, and everyone was pumping out all these different Star Wars, kind of rip-off movies. Star Crash is a great one if you've ever seen that. If you like watching just like really like B movie quality movie. Star Crash is a good one. The one I watched was the Robert Corman ones are good. There's Battle Beyond the Stars, which is basically like it's like Seven Samurai in space.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so these aliens come down and they're trying to put a stronghold on this small little planet and everything. So they need to go out and find mercenaries to help them out. It's pretty good. But and then I watched this other one called Star Raiders, and it was another Roger Corman. And they just recycle the same ship. So the main ship that's in Battlestar or Battle Beyond the Stars is also in I mean, almost all the ships they just reused for this other movie, Star Raiders, which I don't know. They're not great, but I like them just because they're just what they are. But basically that one's about this kid that gets. But even though I'm watching this movie, I'm watching this Star Raiders movie. It's about this kid that kind of, I don't know if he stows away or whatever with this group of, like, I don't know if they're bounty hunters or whatever. And then, but as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh man, this kid's just a horrible actor, and like everything, and just the characters are like, not great. But I started imagining like in my head, I'm like remaking this movie as I'm watching. Like I like the premise of this, of sort of a stowaway. It's almost like that one was almost. I wonder, since Battle Beyond the Stars was more of is kind of based on Seven Samurai. Now that I'm wondering, I'm thinking that maybe that was more of a Treasure Island. But I'm trying to, if they just took Treasure Island and put it in space, it seems like that might be the case. Not so much. If you've watched like. What was it, Treasure Planet? It's not that close to Treasure Island, but anyway. So I'm watching this movie and I'm like, oh man, if I redid this, it might be a good story. I think I could do some cool things with it. But I don't know. I like watching I also like watching like Mystery Science Theater. Obviously, I mean, I'm very inspired by that. If you've looked at the Underground Lair and the lab coats and stuff. So anyway, yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I'm kind of into.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much out there, for this kind of weird sci-fi stuff. It's interesting, like Star Wars. Obviously that's a big one for me as well. But it's funny. There's definitely creatures, but I noticed that there's a lot of humans in Star Wars too, and that's one thing that I love with comics. Is that like when I did the first 100 Days of Making Comics anthology story, I was really like watching a lot of Star Wars at that point and just digging into it. And I was like, well, what if I just kind of made my own like version of some of these characters? But I pretty much went all alien with it and like all these weird creatures and stuff instead of like humanoids. And I think part of that, I wonder what George Lucas's kind of inspiration was for that, but like I feel like maybe it was partially like a limit on what you can kind of do in movies, especially back then, and so maybe that's why I made more of them kind of humans, and then I don't know, but like I was like, well, that's one advantage with comics is you don't have any budgetary like constraints out. If you're making your own comics, you don't have any problems with trying to have the technology be able to do it. You can just draw whatever it is that is in your imagination. So I made it all like alien characters and stuff, and that was fun, and it was a goofy version. It wasn't like really like Star Wars necessarily, but it's just kind of fun. And I was also thinking too, one movie that I like those old movies, like you said, like the hokey movies and stuff like that are really cool. And there was I also like the early ones, like the really early like sci-fi stuff that's like, it's just so crazy. Like I don't know, they had like no technology to make this stuff happen. And I don't know, there was one that I watched somewhat recently. It was like Vampires from Outer Space or Vampires from Mars or something, and I was like, what is this? This is weird. Like, and it wasn't vampires at all. Like it was just an alien race, and I think they were like humanoid too. They were just like humans too, with maybe some makeup on or something like that. And there's so many other ones. And then also another one from, I don't know if it's the 80s or the early 90s. It might be the early 90s. But this is one of my favorite movies, and it's not as much aliens, but it's definitely like space sci-fi technology. There is at least one little alien in it, but it's called Flight of the Navigator.
Oh,
And
love it.
I love that movie so much. Like, that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, yeah. So a couple of things you touched on. First, as far as Star Wars with having more human characters, and I think a lot of that was probably budgetary, but a lot of it also, I think I think it's easier for humans to connect to other people that look like humans. So, but I don't now. I mean, now they're doing such amazing stuff that even like when you watch the newer Planet of the Apes, like the reboots and everything. I mean, obviously they're not human, but I mean, the fact that the emotion, everything they can capture with those characters. I mean, you're rooting for them. You're not. I mean, you're like I mean, it's just, and I mean, I know like there's not that much difference from human and ape, but even like if they were to be more like alien or whatever, I think nowadays you could probably create that connection a little more. But I think that's the reason why a lot of people do kind of other than again the budgetary things, is just getting that connection. But and maybe that's not totally true, because even if you watch a Pixar movie where you're talking about toys, I mean, and then they're able to do the same thing there. So now, I mean, I think we're able to do a lot more with that. But it would be interesting to see like a sci-fi movie that was just like, right now I'm watching the Dark Crystal, technically more fantasy, not as much sci-fi.
That thing looks so cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I see like the previews when I turn on Netflix, and I'm like, we're going to watch this, but man, I really just want to click on Dark Crystal.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so I'm not that far. Like I've started watching the first episode and I fell asleep twice, not because of the movie, but just because whenever I watch TV, it's usually late at night and I'm like tired by that point. So that's just how I watch TV, unless if it's something that I'm just going to sit down to watch it usually at night and then I fall asleep. Otherwise, if it's just something that I've got playing in the background while I'm drawing or something. But yeah, I'm wondering because the original one, I think it was profitable, but I don't think it did what they thought it was going to do. And since, and that's why it's probably taken that long for a sequel, but it kind of gained a cult following. I mean, I was there in the theater when it came out and everything. And I didn't notice that when I was a kid, but it is like, when you're watching it, some of it is like, you can, in some ways you can tell that they're puppets and everything. So some ways you don't really make that connection, because there's a little bit of what's the term I'm looking for? I can't think of it. The uncanny valley type thing. Like certain characters, the ones that look like with the Gelfling characters, there's a few different versions of them. I think there's like 3. There's this one that they kind of they're more like a fairy type, and they've got black eyes and everything. To me, I look at that character and I'm like, that one I like because it's a little far removed from humans, whereas the other ones that have like the more human looking eyes, it's like, it just doesn't, my mind is like, oh, these sort of look human, but not. So it's just like, it's right in that part where it's like the other one looks a little more alien. So it's not as like, off-putting, but not that, I mean, it's great. And I love the puppetry and everything, but there is sort of that uncanny valley there. So some of that might be the reason why you don't see a lot of that. But I would like to see a movie where, it's just, and I'm sure it's been done, but where there aren't any humans at all. It's just all alien creatures and everything. And I would be curious to see if people connect with it and everything. Yeah. There's another point you made and I forgot, but maybe it'll come back to me that I want to touch back on.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, certain things can take you out. It kind of reminds me, and this isn't aliens, but this is sci-fi and stuff. There's any chance I can have to talk about Alita Battle Angel. It's such a cool movie.
Yeah.
But she's very CGI. They kind of make her look like an anime kind of person. But like a lot of people, when they first saw that, like the preview, they're like, oh, I don't know, it's a little too weird, blah blah blah. But they really did a great job, like with kind of transferring Rosa Salazar's acting to the CGI. And even Rosa Salazar, she was like, when I saw how they translated it, she's like, that's me. That looks like me. That's how I do things, So they really like spent some good time and made sure that it came across well. And almost everybody I've heard talk about the movie says, at first they saw the eyes and thought it was a little weird, but after a minute they forgot about it and it was just a character, So
yeah, I agree. That was a great movie. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to rewatch that one. But
yes.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Can't forget. Oh, they're talking about different like B movies. Can't forget about Lobster Man from Mars.
I think they had everything from Mars back then.
Yeah, I like Them is a great one where they basically just did some close-up footage of bugs like grasshoppers, I think they're grasshoppers, and then they'd blow them up and they'd be like, that stuff's great. There's not so much. That's a little more fantasy, but I also love anything Harryhausen, like King Kong and like Clash of the Titans, Jason and the Argonauts, that kind of stuff.
Did they ever do anything sci-fi or aliens with Ray Harryhausen?
He must have, but I can't recall Harryhausen doing it. I mean, obviously they use stop motion in Star Wars and some of the creatures and stuff like that, but that wasn't Harryhausen. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think he mostly did. Deeper.
Yeah, I think it mostly ended up being like fantasy and mythology and stuff with him, but that would have been cool though. I would have loved to see him do something with sci-fi. That would be really awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other, like obviously there's like Plan 9 from. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. So you had mentioned that what was it, Vampires from Space or whatever. Yeah, it's funny how they did that because a lot of times they would I think they just make a movie and then depending on what was popular at the time, they just slap a title on it to try to get people to come in. Like it's almost like, have you ever seen like Troll 2?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so Troll was this horror movie. It's like I've never seen Troll. I don't think I've seen it. But so they produced this movie called Troll 2 is notorious for being like the worst movie ever. I mean, it is bad. It's so bad. It's just like ridiculously funny and good. So, and there's even a documentary about it called, I think it's called The Worst Movie Ever or something like that. Oh, wow. But basically Troll 2 was there's no trolls in it. It was about these goblins and this guy was producing the movie. And I guess the distributor says, oh yeah, well, I don't know what to do with this, but we'll, let's just make it a sequel to Troll. It has nothing to do with anything with the original movie or anything. They just put Troll 2 on it, I guess, because of the name recognition. And so yeah, it's weird. Wow. They'll do stuff like that, but yeah.
That's crazy. There's so many cool movies out there, and I was trying to think. I don't know. There's just too many ideas out there. So
let's see. So this is a line from Troll. They're eating her, and they're gonna eat me too. You just Google that on YouTube. It's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, naming some of my favorite hokey movies, Scott. There you go. So yeah.
I wish I had more time to watch these movies. You were talking about like falling asleep. Like the same thing. I feel bad because I'm always falling asleep watching TV when we do, and my wife is like, don't fall asleep. We're trying to watch it.
I get that too. Yeah, I always fall asleep. Yeah, but my girlfriend's kind of the same way, but she just knows it now. She just comes to expect that if we're gonna watch a movie, I'll probably fall asleep. And it doesn't matter if it's good or not. It's just like that's what happens when you just spend more time, creating things than you do consuming things. I guess it's just
but getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, what I'm trying to, you keep bringing up points that I want to touch on, and then I forget about it. But like, yeah, it's funny because I mean that I'm watching, and some of those, like a lot of those movies, like those B movies, I was just putting them on while I was doing laundry or some other task that I had to do. So it's not like I just sit down to watch, that kind of stuff. But because there's so much great stuff out there, it's kind of funny that I was kind of watching all these B movies and stuff. And a lot of stuff I used to before, I used to watch a lot more TV than I do now. So a lot of that stuff is from back when I used to watch tons of stuff. But
You know what I think is cool too. Another avenue that kind of is really inspiring to me is like all these like crazy like conspiracy theories, and then you get into like the alien abduction stuff. And I don't necessarily believe in this certain stuff, but like it's nothing but good fodder for like stories and stuff and comics. I'm curious, like what do you think about like just the idea of like aliens being out there, and also just some of this material we hear like with like the alien abduction stories and stuff? Has that been something that's inspired you?
Oh yeah, definitely. For me, I definitely believe that there's other life out there. I just can't imagine in a universe as big as ours that we're the only life there, and whether that's something that we could, whether there's anything out there that looks anything like us, I don't know. I mean, it could be just microscopic. There's got to be, to me, there just has to be something. It just doesn't make sense for us to be the only thing out there. Whether they've actually come to Earth and abducted people, that I'm a little skeptical about. But it's not, to me, it's not out of the realm of possibility. If somebody told me they have been abducted by aliens, or if I saw it on TV, I probably wouldn't believe it. But and I've never like seen like a UFO. A UFO. That's the other thing that's kind of weird, that when people ask if you believe in UFOs, because what is a UFO really? It's just an unidentified flying object. So if you don't believe in UFOs, do you believe that there's never been something that somebody saw in the sky and didn't know what it was? I mean, isn't that the definition of a UFO? If you were to say space aliens, that's a different story. But I guess if there's something that, everyone's seen probably something that like, well, hey, what was that? Whether you believe that's an alien, that's one thing. But to say, I don't believe in UFOs, it's like, I don't know. It could be a weather balloon. It could be whatever. But I don't know what it is, so it's unidentified. I don't know. And it's flying.
There's definitely weird things that go on in the world. Like, even if, like you said, the UFO thing, like, we already know that the government does have technologies that they don't share. They do that because of they need to keep certain things secret or whatever. Right. So it's obviously they're going to test some of this stuff. So it's like maybe not as sinister as like we like to make up these stories about, but at the same time, that doesn't mean there isn't some crazy things going on that,
Yeah, like, well, with Area 51, there's definitely, I don't know that I believe that there's aliens there, but there's definitely some shady stuff going on over there. It's just, whether it's they're developing weapons or whatever, I don't know. And so it's like, yeah. But that's always something that's very interesting to me, is just these like clandestine organizations or whatever, or whether, and that's kind of like when I was trying to come up, basically trying to, build my brand and everything, and trying to figure out how am I going to take all the things that I love and put them together. That was a big part of the aliens thing. So I'm thinking, if I like to do aliens, if I like to do robots, if I like to do zombies, where's one place where all this stuff can kind of, originate from? And that would be sort of this underground layer. Maybe they're working on something that, some kind of something that becomes that it creates a zombie outbreak from some, biological experiments or something. So you got your zombies, obviously robots you can create in like a factory or sort of this lab setting or whatever. But then aliens, like if there was like a secret organization that did discover alien technology, and they're, trying to, what's the retroactively, what do they call that?
Reverse engineer.
Reverse engineer like alien technology and stuff like that. that could also exist in like an underground lair. So that's kind of what, that's something that I've really been into, is that kind of stuff, is these secret organizations and everything. And so that's all great stuff.
Yeah, there's like that show, Ancient Aliens. That's a fun show to watch. Like, there's some crazy theories in there, and I don't necessarily believe in them, but it's certainly entertaining. And the idea of like alien technology is always interesting. And I mean, even bringing it down to like, Stranger Things, which obviously both of us are very much a fan of. That whole story originates with the conspiracy surrounding Montauk and everything, and I think part of it was like experimentation and mind control and stuff, but then another part of it is apparently within the conspiracies there's like this, I think it's like a chair that's like part of alien technology or something, and I don't know, I don't really know the whole thing of it, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, there's so many bizarre things that you see or you experience or you hear about that happen in real life. These real life stories that if all you have to do is, whether you believe it or not, if you just attribute that to aliens, you've got the start of a pretty good story. So I know Ronnie also says that The Thing is another great alien movie. That's like one of my all-time favorites. And sometimes I think of that more of a horror, but it definitely is sci-fi. I mean, it's based on The Thing from Another World. And the creature design in there, as horrific as it is, I mean, it's just an amazing, I think I probably mentioned that just when I was talking about that creature you designed, but that very, I guess, Lovecraftian, type creatures. And I don't know if his stuff was necessarily, I think that was more, I haven't read really any Lovecraft stuff, but from what I know about it, I think it's like interdimensional stuff or just bizarre stuff. You don't know where it came from. Maybe not necessarily aliens, but that's, it's almost could be the same thing. I mean, it's like, there's so many different angles you could take, whether it's, interdimensional or alien or whatever. There's a lot of stuff there for us to come up with ideas and everything for creating our aliens for a challenge like this. So
yeah, no doubt.
So let's see what else is going on in the chat. I don't, but yeah, so I'm kind of curious who, I know it was a while back here, I posted it before, but it's good to see Creed in the chat. I could definitely see Creed jumping up on this challenge because that's kind of right in his wheelhouse. And like, especially he loves to do all the retro cartoon stuff. There's a lot of great like retro cartoon aliens too, I'm sure, like the Great Gazoo, and like I'm trying to think.
Marvin Martian.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got tons of like. I used to do stuff for Warner Brothers, like their studio stores, and actually that's another inspiration for the Underground Lair too, because we were doing some renderings of back when they had these Warner Brothers studio stores, which it's basically all. We did so many crazy things, like with all these giant Bugs Bunny and like all the different Looney Tunes characters. Like they built these giant resin statues and everything. But one of the things they built in some of the stores was this little tiny like tunnel. Like, and if you've seen my my tour video that I did of the Underground Lair, you can kind of see that spaceship. That was also heavily inspired by this little. They had this Marvin the Martian spaceship that kids can go into and play and everything like that. But yeah, I was, so I, because I did that, I always, like, my mom would always buy me Marvin the Martian stuff, and yeah, I used to love that stuff. I used to do the voice. It was like, the Illuminating Q-36 explosive space modulator. That creature has stolen the space modulator. So, that was like one of my favorite characters. So yeah,
that's pretty good. Oh man, yeah, Marvin, he was great. There's so many. Wasn't there like Was it in that same cartoon or something? There was like a duck character, right? That was like
Well, there was Duck Dodgers, which
an
was
alien.
I think, yeah, that was Daffy Duck dressed up as like it's like his kind of Flash Gordon type thing. I know Marvin had a dog. It was sort of this
Oh
alien
yeah.
dog, this green dog. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if there were any other like alien type stuff from that in particular. But it must have been. I don't know. It had to have been before Star Wars, but like there must have been some kind of sci-fi thing in the air because the fact that there was an alien on Flintstones doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I guess it could. I
Yeah.
mean, aliens could arrive on Earth at any time, but it was kind of unusual for that. It's probably one of those things where when ratings start to dip, I don't know if this is the case, but like, oh, we got to throw an alien in there or something, or bring a kid
Yeah.
to the show or something like that.
Well, they had the Jetsons too. That was
Oh yeah,
kind
yeah.
of cool. But was there even aliens in Jetsons? I can't.
I don't think there was. That's kind of unusual now. I can't. There were definitely robots, but it was more like a futuristic society. But I don't think there were any aliens, which is really bizarre because you think I could be totally wrong, and maybe Creed might know better because he's like an expert on cartoon, like retro cartoons, vintage cartoons, but yeah, I can't remember any. But you think that because it's basically just a futuristic version of the Flintstones. So, and the Flintstones had all the dinosaur creatures. So why wouldn't it seems to me? Well, I know there was Orbity later on when they brought it back. They had this creature called Orbity. There was this, he was like their alien pal, kind of like their Orko or whatever. But that Salazar says there. I think there was a cute alien creature from the Jetsons. That was Orbity. That wasn't in the original Jetsons run. That was when they brought it back I think in the 80s.
Oh yeah, I remember that creature. Okay.
But I think that might have been the only one. That was kind of weird. Yeah. So I'm trying to think if I know Hanna-Barbera did a lot of stuff with I can't think of any they did a lot of monster stuff and trying to think if they did really any alien type stuff. Man, there's a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to. Yeah, I guess there's a point here. Salazar Art Nation says I drew Optimus last week. So yeah, I sometimes I forget that like even the Transformers are aliens.
That's true.
It's because you think of them as robots, but they're sort of these sentient. I don't know, mechanical creatures or something. So yeah, I guess Transformers are definitely aliens. So.
Well, that's one thing that I noticed, like being a comic creator and stuff and coming up with all these different stories is like, it's almost like a crutch to a certain degree. It's like, if you have like a cool story you want to make and stuff, but you don't want to, maybe it kind of is inspired by something in history or something or whatever, but you don't want to do like all the research to like make it accurate to whatever it is. So I'll just set it in the future or I'll set it in space or I'll set it in a fantasy world or something like that. And I wonder if they did that with like some of these properties like Transformers is like, oh, well, we don't necessarily want to try to like explain why how these robots can transform from one thing to another. So we'll just put a little magic in there, and they're aliens, they're an alien race or whatever, or why they have emotions or things like that.
Yeah, now that I think about it, they would do that with like when they did cartoons, like they did a Happy Days cartoon, but they took them into space, and I can't. I'm trying to remember if that was. I don't think that was Hanna-Barbera. I think that was Filmation, maybe. I could be wrong. But yeah, so and then I think they did the same thing with Gilligan's Island. They did like Gilligan's Planet. So a lot of times they would do that. They just take something and then like we'll just throw it in space, or
did it only take them a 3-hour tour to get there?
I have to listen to the theme song for Gilligan's Planet. I don't remember, but I do. I think I remember that they would just like just get rid of certain characters. Like I think the only characters in like the Happy Days one, they didn't have like Potsy or any of those guys. I think they had Ralph Mouth and Richie and the Fonz, and then they had some dog, and that was it. So, but there was I'm trying to find this comment. So Fogbreaker Studios says that Spacey Sprockets destroyed the alien menace and rose to global power. So yeah, man, I don't know. Is that true?
Is that the backstory? I didn't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. If that's the case, I didn't know that, but that's interesting. But yeah, there's like, but that's kind of a. And when I start putting out my my making comics video, my making comic 101 videos, one part I've talked about is just coming up with ideas for stories, and that's one of the ideas that I gave is that, you know, because I pre-recorded some of the stuff, I'm still editing it and everything, but just you know, put something in a different setting. Like if you, like we had talked about, you know, this Battle Beyond the Stars being 7 samurai, just done in space. I mean, you can do that. You know, you can just take a story that people might be familiar with, maybe change some of the characters and put it in a different setting. So you kind of see that quite a bit with different things. So
yeah, one of the comics I'm working on right now, actually the one that I'll most likely be working on with Mike Emirates, is called Calamity Jane, and that's like an old Western mythology. It's actually a real person, sort of, but there's a whole mythology around it. But you know, right away, like my first thing is, okay, so it's Calamity Jane, but she gets abducted by aliens, and you know, now she's up in space doing adventures and stuff. So just like you were saying, like you can like slap space and sci-fi onto just about anything, you know.
Yeah. So Creed says the Fonz's dog, Mr. Cool, was the worst sidekick in cartoon history. That's debatable. I mean, he was bad, but there's so many. They always threw in those characters. It's like some of them I kind of got to like you know Orko. You know, he was one of those that was like and then but later on, like especially in like the Mike Young version. I think it was Mike Young that did when they rebooted Masters, which is coming back. I guess Kevin Smith is producing it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So he assures everyone you don't have to worry about that. That's not going to be like Jay and Silent Bob their stuff. But so yeah, I'm interested to see. It's going to be on Netflix and everything. But yeah, what was I talking about?
Sidekicks.
Oh yeah, sidekicks. There's a lot of them. Yeah, I mean they would always do that. Like I don't know, Mr. Fonz, Dog, and Scrappy Doo. There might be two that you can. There are some people that like Scrappy. I'm sure there's people that like all that stuff. Herbie the Robot, getting rid of the Human Torch and throwing in Herbie the Robot, which I heard that was because they were afraid kids were going to light themselves on fire. But then I heard somebody else say that it was more of it was a rights issue, because the Human Torch was actually a character. Sorry about that. That's the time I usually wake up. So, like Human Torch was originally he precedes Marvel Comics, and I think probably Timely Comics. I think I think he was around the same time as like Submariner. So he wasn't, you know, when they created Fantastic Four. That's something you never hear about, because you always hear like Kirby creating the Fantastic Four, but actually he only created, you know, a third of the Fantastic Four, I'm guessing, because I don't think unless Kirby created Human Torch earlier on and brought him in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I know that you know, all that stuff kind of sparked off.
We lost your audio, Marshall.
Oh, really? Weird. I don't know why.
Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
I hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Okay, right. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know about Kirby. Like, I can't remember if he created that, because I know that you know, kind of all that stuff sparked off with Superman, and then, you know, he created Captain America with Joe Simon, and then I think Submariner and Human Torch kind of came after all that. So I can't remember.
Okay, so maybe Kirby did create Human Torch.
Possible.
Brought him back. I'm not sure, because I know Kirby started like basically his comics career later on in life. So I mean, Fantastic Four. I mean, they always said he created Fantastic Four when he was like 40. So I don't know previous to that what he was doing, because if he started super late in life with comics, yeah, I don't know if are you Googling it? Yeah, now
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, actually, it does look like Jack Kirby had a hand in it.
Okay.
But I mean, Jack Kirby, he didn't. He actually started at a very young age doing comics, but Fantastic Four came after he was already working in the industry for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So he created Captain America a long time before that, and then
Okay.
superhero comics kind of waned and weren't so big, and then they had horror comics were big, and then romance comics were big, and then they finally brought the superhero stuff back with Fantastic Four and all that stuff. So
Yeah. So Creed's throwing in some stuff here. Snarf was really bad too from Thundercats. Yeah. Snarf. I think Snarf was definitely worse. I don't think Orko was that bad as far as those things go. And then Newton from the Mighty Hercules knowingly repeat himself to stretch and stretch the runtime.
I guess they a lot of times, I think their reasoning for creating these characters were for like something for the kids to like younger kids to relate to, I guess.
Yeah, but as a kid, I was a kid watching that stuff, and I related to the other stuff more than I related to the cute kid character. So I don't know. It just seemed like just a staple, that's something they had to throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the purpose of comic relief, I guess, too, but also maybe it's like, the corporate machine trying to figure out what the kids might like or whatever. But I think you're right. Like as a kid, like, there's what's that guy? What is it? G-Man? Have you ever heard of that comic? It's kind of like a indie
Chris
kid.
Caruso.
Yeah, so like I remember hearing him on an interview or something talk about like, why didn't you? He's obviously a kid. Why didn't you call him G Kid or whatever? And he's like, well, when you were a kid, did you want to be, you want to be Robin, the boy wonder, or did you want to be Batman? Like you want to be like Superman. You want to be bigger, as a kid. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely think there's a way to have sort of that comic relief sidekick character and have it not like, to me, like look at like BB-8. I mean, that's a perfect example. I mean, there's a lot of humor in that character, and but it's funny, but he's not annoying. Maybe to some people he is. I mean, he did some annoying stuff in the last movie. I don't know.
And we can't forget about one of the most respected and loved sidekicks of all time, Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if he was he a sidekick, or I mean, I guess he was.
He kind of played that role, I guess, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that's probably a perfect example of something that was just done for. I mean, I don't know. You can have. I mean, I just look at like what they're doing with the Marvel movies. I mean, there's so much comic relief in there, but it's not like. But it's. I mean, it basically breaks up the action, and it lightens the mood and everything, and just the little quips and things like that. I mean, there's great stuff there, but it doesn't have to be like an annoying character. They don't have to introduce Herbie the robot into the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything like that. Although I think if they ever did Fantastic Four, as long as they just don't replace him with something, if they just have that robot, like I know even they would even like in the Aquaman movie, they brought, I don't know the name of the character, but there was the drum playing octopus. They even kind of gave it a little homage, and they didn't make an actual character that was following them along on adventures and stuff. And who knows if they'll do the same thing when they continue on with, like, I assume they're going to make sequels to Shazam, because that was a big one. But there was the tiger character. I forgot the name of him too. But yeah, there was a tiger character. There maybe will be an homage to that. I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of it's because it's just it just depends, I guess, how you do it. Is I do like to see all those little homages and Easter eggs, as long as they don't make it a big thing. So if they did make Fantastic Four and they just had, here in the Baxter building, they had a lot of stuff going on, and there was a robot that went by that was helping them that looked like Herbie. I would like, but to have him go on adventures and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. But they could, I mean, knowing the way Marvel does stuff, I mean, they tend to really firing all cylinders all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. They could probably make that work. Salazar says Slimer from Ghostbusters got annoying. Yeah, I know a lot of people really. He's one that a lot of people really do like. It was weird because it wasn't. That was just a character I think that became sort of like he really wasn't Slimer in the beginning. He was just like this dog. This ghost that ate some hot dogs, and then when they did the cartoon, they kind of gave him a name and had him do all kinds of stuff. And but yeah, that definitely could be another one.
Yeah, that whole show was comic relief, though.
That whole show was more humorous. So if it's like, I guess a lot of those shows are. I guess it's the ones that were supposed to be a little more of a serious take, and then just they throw in some goofy character or whatever. But I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what else. Anything?
We should do a tutorial about how to create forgettable characters.
That'll be our next challenge. Come up with annoying sidekick Friday or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. We could probably start to wrap this up. I wanted to kind of once again let everyone know about this challenge. I definitely know something from some of the people in the chat that I think this is something that a lot of people can get into. And if you can't, if you can't do it every single day, every single Tuesday, that's fine. Just whenever you can. And you don't have to start this tomorrow. You can start next Tuesday or whenever you want. But hopefully we'll keep this going. I'm looking forward to it. I'm waiting to see kind of what you come up with, Marshall. I know I got my video ready to go and everything. And then I've got some ideas for some other stuff. So this should be fun.
Absolutely.
You, Marshall, you got any tips or anything for anyone that if they do want to do this challenge?
Well, to me, I'm able to kind of come up with ideas pretty easily usually. But just don't get too complicated with it. Start scribbling around in your sketchbook and see what you can kind of come up with. I noticed with my first run, it was like really just kind of coming up with goofy ideas type of thing. It wasn't really focused. It was kind of like Scott was saying, like playing with shapes and adding elements and stuff like that. But I also kind of came up with little stories for some of these characters. So what I'm doing, at least for the first one and the second one, those are the only ones I really have mapped out at this point. They're actually characters in some of my stories coming up. I had to do some character design for that. And, that was fun too. And one thing that I do is it's kind of weird thing to think about doing this when you're like doing something involved with art and design and stuff. But I start with words, actually. I don't start with actually sketching and drawing. I start with words. So I try to whatever I can think of, like a brainstorm or whatever of a character, if I for the first one, it happened to be a character from one of my comics that I'm going to be making. And I think, what did I put? I think I just put the name that I kind of came up with. And then I started trying to think of some of the things with their personality. And then I started playing around with gestures and stuff, things that I thought would kind of reflect that personality. And then I started mapping elements onto that and tried a few different versions and stuff until I came to the character that I wanted. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my process and stuff with that. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, and I think a lot of your I just like the way that you base a lot of your characters just on the idea of a clever name or something like that. Because a lot of your characters, I've told you this before, they've got sort of clever names. I like the Robo Hobo, and so there's even I like Glyph, and I don't know if that came from that, but that's the perfect name for that character, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the thing is I think that comes from being somebody who's been like I did like hip hop music and stuff and wrote a lot of lyrics and stuff like that. And so I'm constantly playing with words in my head. And it's funny, like whenever we're listening to music, I'm always changing the words and stuff. Like I'm always playing with words. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where that comes from. And it's fun. It's fun to come up with just a name and then try to figure out what that character looks like from that. So yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah. And for me, I just kind of, I don't know, like I said, I just kind of try to think of like different textures and different, even if it's like a particular feature of a creature. Like I did one sketch where it was kind of based on a kangaroo. I'm like, well, kangaroos are kind of interesting because they've got like that pouch, but what if they're like aliens that kind of more, like marsupial type creatures or whatever. So yeah, I just kind of look at stuff like that and like, how can I make that, how can I make that more of an alien? So hopefully that'll get you guys some food for thought and everything. Yeah. So Creed says he's in the process of moving but he'll definitely jump in when he can. So yeah, definitely good luck with the move and everything. Yeah, just jump in whenever you can. I mean, that's what this is all about. That's the beauty of this challenge, is that there's no time limit, no start time, no end time. Just Tuesday's really the only thing in the Tuesday and an alien. I mean, it could be simpler than that. So do it however you want. It doesn't even have to be a drawing. If you want to do a sculpture or photo collage or whatever you want, I mean, that's, that'd be cool to see some of that kind of stuff. So definitely, yeah. And so stay tuned to both our channels. Tomorrow we'll be releasing our Take Me to Your Later Tuesday video. I've got later on, if you want to see what's in the starter kit, I've got my video. I'll probably put that out. But yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm hoping to start putting out some more cool stuff on this channel and everything. So hopefully you guys will be into that and everything. But yeah, I guess we could probably sign off and everything. Thanks to everyone in the chat, and I don't know, thanks to Marshall for coming on. This is cool because, Marshall and I don't get a chance to talk that often live anyway. I mean, we would love to get him on the art. He's like our #1 get for the Artcaster. Someday if he's got like a day off or something like that, or if we can work it out, someday we'd like to get him on. But, it's just our schedules don't jive up that way. So, but it's good talking to you live, Marshall.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on.
Definitely. All right, everyone. We'll see you guys later. That is all.
Yeah.
And there'll be a little lag because that's just the way StreamYard works. Let's see in the broadcast. We'll see how long this takes.